Welcome back to our channel. This is a lesson about your mornings. It is about the habits that quietly decide your future. Today we are going to talk about your morning. We are also going to talk about powerful daily habits. These small habits decide the shape of your entire day. This is one of the most powerful lessons you will ever hear. This is something that can completely change your life. Many people wake up and let the day happen to them. They check their phones before they even open their eyes. They rush through breakfast, or they skip it completely. They arrive at work already feeling behind. They feel tired before the day has even started. They spend the whole day reacting instead of leading. This happens every single morning, and they do not even notice it. But the truth is, your morning is not something that happens to you. Your morning is something you create, one small choice at a time. The real problem is not a lack of time. The real problem is a lack of intention. It is also time for an English lesson. As you listen to this video, you will also improve your English. Pay attention to the vocabulary. Pay attention to the sentence patterns. The more you listen, the stronger your English becomes. Every story is a chance to grow your vocabulary. And before we begin, here is something important. If you enjoy learning English through powerful stories and lessons, this channel is for you. Make sure to subscribe to English Ascent. Continue your ascent with us every single day. Lesson 1. The first hour decides the next 23. One of the biggest truths about your life is this. The first hour of your day is the most powerful hour you have. Most people do not treat it that way. They treat it like it does not matter. But it matters more than any other hour. Think about a tall building. If the foundation is weak, the whole building becomes unstable. It does not matter how nice the upper floors look. Your first hour works the same way. It is the foundation for everything else. The first hour sets your mood. The first hour sets your energy. The first hour sets the direction of your whole day. It can even shape decisions you make later tonight. Think about how you feel after a rushed, chaotic morning. Your whole day often carries that same chaotic feeling. Now think about how you feel after a calm morning. That calm often stays with you for hours. This is not an accident. It is simple cause and effect. Your mind carries the emotional temperature of your first hour. It carries that temperature into every meeting, every conversation, every decision. Small stress in the morning rarely stays small. It tends to grow larger as the day continues. The opposite is also true. Small calm in the morning tends to multiply too. Athletes understand this idea deeply. Many top athletes protect their first hour fiercely. Writers understand it too. Many famous writers did their best work before sunrise, while the world was still quiet. Imagine two people. They live in the same city. They work in similar jobs. The first person's alarm rings. Within seconds, the phone is already in their hand. Messages fill the mind. Notifications fill the mind. Other people's opinions fill the mind. This happens before the eyes are even fully open. There is no quiet moment. There is no pause. There is no chance to think one original thought. By the time this person reaches the kitchen, their mind is already crowded. It is crowded with other people's noise. The second person's alarm rings too, but the phone stays untouched on the table. Instead, this person takes 3 slow breaths. They sit up slowly and calmly. For a few quiet minutes, there is nothing to react to. There is nothing to answer. The mind stays calm. The morning still belongs entirely to them. Picture this scene clearly in your mind. It is early morning. The room is still quiet. The light outside is soft and gray. Later, at work, this difference becomes visible too. The first person snaps at a colleague over something small. Stress from the morning is still sitting in their chest. The second person handles the exact same small problem calmly. They already released their morning tension through quiet breathing. At first, these two people look almost identical. Both got out of bed at the same time. Both have similar jobs. Both have similar bills to pay. But slowly, their lives begin to move apart. 1 year later, there is already a small difference. The first person still feels rushed every morning. They still feel one step behind. The second person feels calm instead. They feel prepared. They feel a quiet sense of control. 5 years later, the difference is no longer small. The first person is still reacting to life. They still feel like a passenger. The second person is leading their own life. They are doing it with quiet confidence, one calm morning at a time. Now think about your own mornings. Think about the exact moment you wake up tomorrow. What is the very first thing you usually reach for? Is it something that calms your mind? Or is it something that fills your mind with noise? Be honest with yourself for a moment. Most people already know their answer. The question is whether they are willing to change it. This is not about becoming a perfect person overnight. This is about choosing your first 10 minutes with intention. You do not need a complicated system to begin. Tomorrow, before anything else, try just 2 calm minutes. Notice your breath. Notice the quiet of the room. That is enough to start. Some mornings this will feel easy. Other mornings it will feel strange, even uncomfortable. Both reactions are completely normal. Keep going anyway. The habit matters more than the feeling. Remember this. The way you begin your first hour is the way you begin your entire day. Lesson 2. Small habits, repeated daily, build a powerful life. One of the biggest secrets is this. Small actions, repeated every day, create massive results over time. Most people want a big change right away. They want to transform their whole life in one single day. But life does not work that way. Real change is quiet. Real change is slow. It is built through small, daily choices. These choices continue long after the excitement fades. This is true in fitness. This is true in learning a new skill. This is true in building any real relationship. Big, exciting moments rarely create lasting change. It is the small, boring, repeated moments that truly matter. Nobody claps for you on an ordinary Tuesday morning. Nobody notices the 10th day of a new habit. But the 10th day matters just as much as the first. Think about a single seed. It is planted carefully in the ground. On the first day, nothing seems to happen. On the second day, still nothing seems to happen. A person watching only the first week might think the seed is doing nothing. They might believe the effort was wasted. But under the ground, roots are quietly growing stronger. They grow a little more every single day. Slowly, a small green stem pushes through the earth. Weeks pass. The stem becomes a young, steady plant. Months pass. The plant becomes a real tree. It becomes tall enough to bend gently in the wind. Years pass. The tree becomes strong enough to give shade to a family. It becomes strong enough to survive storms. Those same storms would have destroyed it as a small seed. The seed did not transform overnight. It never once skipped a day of quiet growth. It changed only through small, steady growth. This happened one ordinary day at a time. Your daily habits work in this exact same hidden way. This is true whether you can see results yet or not. Think about compound interest in a savings account. A small amount of money, saved consistently, grows slowly at first. Then, after enough years, the growth becomes dramatic. Your habits work through this exact same quiet mathematics. Every single day either adds to your future or it does not. There is rarely a neutral day. Now think about your own daily habits. Think about the ones you barely notice anymore. What small action, repeated every single day, could quietly change your future? It does not need to be big. It does not need to impress anyone watching. It only needs to be consistent. It needs to happen on ordinary days, not just exciting ones. Motivation will not always be there to help you. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings change constantly. Discipline is different. Discipline is a decision you make regardless of how you feel that morning. Imagine 2 people who both want to read more. The first person waits to feel motivated. Some days the feeling comes, and they read. Most days it does not come, and they scroll instead. The second person decided long ago that reading happens every morning, no matter what. They do not ask how they feel about it. They simply open the book, because that is what mornings are for now. After 1 year, the difference in their knowledge is enormous. You do not need to track every habit with charts or apps. A simple checkmark on a calendar is often enough. Seeing a row of checkmarks build up becomes its own quiet motivation. Missing one day is not failure. It only becomes failure when one missed day turns into a forgotten habit. Think about brushing your teeth. You do not need motivation for that anymore. It simply happens, automatically, every single morning. Powerful habits eventually work the exact same way. They stop requiring willpower entirely. They simply become part of who you are. Give yourself permission to start small, even absurdly small. 1 page. 1 push-up. 1 honest minute. Small beginnings, repeated daily, quietly outperform grand plans that never truly start. Remember this: small habits, repeated daily without excuses, quietly become a powerful life. Lesson 3. Silence before noise. One of the biggest mistakes people make is this: they fill their mind with noise before they even get out of bed. Often, they do not even realize they are doing it. The very first information you receive in the morning shapes your mood. It shapes your mood for hours afterward. Most people believe this first information does not matter much. But your mind is most sensitive right after waking. Whatever enters first tends to color everything that follows. Think about a clean glass of water. One single drop of ink can cloud the entire glass. Your mind, right after waking, is very much like that clean glass. The first thing you allow into it spreads through your entire morning. Imagine a woman who wakes up and immediately opens her phone. She does this almost every single morning. Within minutes, her mind is already full. She sees messages that quietly create pressure. This happens before she has even brushed her teeth. She sees news stories that create worry. These are things she cannot control. She sees other people's carefully chosen photographs. Her mind begins comparing her own life to their highlights. None of this comparison is fair or accurate. She is comparing her real, ordinary Tuesday to someone else's best, most edited moment. But her mind does not know that yet. It only knows what it has just seen. By the time she stands up, her mind is already crowded. It is tired and slightly anxious. This happens even though nothing has actually happened to her yet. Now imagine the same woman on a different kind of morning. This time, she leaves her phone in another room. She does this on purpose, before she even sleeps. She sits quietly for just 10 minutes after waking. She listens to her own breathing, slow and steady. She listens to the quiet sounds of the morning. These are sounds she usually never notices. Her mind feels clear. Her mind feels spacious and calm. Nothing yet demands her attention. She stands up, feeling like her thoughts still belong to her. This does not mean phones are bad. It simply means timing matters. There is a right time for information and a right time for quiet. Many cultures understood this long before phones existed. Monks have practiced silent mornings for thousands of years. Farmers once rose quietly, long before machines filled the air with noise. They did not call it a wellness routine. They simply called it the start of the day. Somewhere in the last 20 years, that quiet start quietly disappeared for most people. You can bring it back starting tomorrow. All you need is a closed door and 10 empty minutes. Think about the difference between a cluttered desk and a clean one. A cluttered desk makes even simple tasks feel harder. A clean desk invites focus almost immediately. Your mind at the start of the day is like that desk. A cluttered mind makes even simple decisions feel heavy. You do not need to meditate for an hour to feel this benefit. Even a short walk without your phone can create the same effect. The goal is not perfection. The goal is simply protecting a few honest minutes before the noise begins. This one change alone will not fix every problem in your life, but it removes one large, unnecessary source of morning stress. That alone is worth 10 quiet minutes. Now think honestly about your own mornings. How much noise enters your mind before you have one quiet moment? What do you think 10 minutes of real silence would do? What would it do for your mind, your mood, and your entire day? Remember this: silence in the morning creates a clarity that noise can never give you. Lesson 4. Move your body before the world moves you. One of the biggest truths about energy is this. It often surprises people. Movement actually creates energy. It does not use energy up, the way most people assume. Most people believe they are too tired to move in the morning. But the truth is often the exact opposite of that comfortable excuse. Doctors and scientists have studied this for years. Gentle movement increases blood flow to the brain. It also releases chemicals that naturally improve your mood. You do not need an intense workout to feel this benefit. You only need 10 honest minutes. Imagine two people again. Both start their day at the very same time. The first person wakes up and goes straight to a chair. They sit through breakfast. They sit during the commute. They sit again at their desk without a single stretch. Their body stays stiff for hours. Their body stays heavy and slow. Their energy feels low long before lunchtime arrives. A strange tiredness follows them through every task. This person often blames the tiredness on their job. They blame it on their sleep or their diet. Rarely do they consider their own stillness as the cause. The second person wakes up and moves their body. They move for just 10 focused minutes. They stretch slowly, or they walk around the block. Or they do a few simple exercises near an open window. At first, these two people look fairly similar. Both still face the exact same busy schedule today. But slowly, a real difference begins to appear. The first person feels tired through most of the morning. They feel foggy and slow. They reach for coffee just to feel normal. The second person feels alert and awake instead. They feel genuinely ready for whatever the day brings. Their coworkers often notice the difference too, without knowing exactly why. Energy, like calm, is something other people can sense. One small choice, repeated every single morning, creates two very different mornings. Over time, it creates two very different lives. Now think about your own body, right now. Could just 10 minutes of movement change your morning? Could that same small choice change your entire day? Hour after hour? Think about a car engine on a cold morning. If you try to drive immediately, the engine struggles and strains. If you let it warm up first, even briefly, everything runs more smoothly. Your body is remarkably similar to that engine. A few minutes of gentle warming prepares it for the entire day ahead. Skipping this step does not save time. It only moves the struggle to later in the morning. Think about how a river moves in early morning light. The water is not rushing or forceful. It moves steadily, with quiet, constant energy. Your own energy can move the same way if you give your body the chance. You do not need special equipment for this. You do not need a gym membership or expensive shoes. Your own body and a small patch of floor is enough. Even stretching beside your bed counts completely. Children understand this instinctively. Watch any young child in the morning. They rarely sit still for long. Somewhere along the way, many adults simply forget this wisdom. Movement is not something we outgrow. It is something we quietly stop choosing. Remember this. When you move your body first, you take control. You take it before the world ever gets the chance to take control of you. Lesson 5. Feed your mind before you feed your feed. One of the biggest habits of successful people is this. They feed their mind with real value first. They do this before they ever feed it with noise. Most people open social media within minutes of waking up. They do this without thinking twice. Their mind receives a flood of other people's opinions. This happens before it forms even one original thought of its own. This is not an accident. Many apps are designed to capture your attention within seconds. The people who build them understand mornings very well. They know the mind is most open and most easy to influence, right after waking. Think carefully about a garden early in the morning. This is just as the sun begins to rise. Whatever seeds are planted at sunrise will grow throughout the day. If you plant genuinely useful seeds, useful plants will grow from them. If weeds are allowed to grow first, they take over quickly. They take up the space and sunlight meant for something better. Your mind works in this exact same quiet way. This happens every single morning, whether you notice it or not. Whatever you feed it first will grow throughout your entire day. It shapes how you think and feel for hours. This single choice, repeated for 30 days, quietly reshapes your thinking. It reshapes your vocabulary, your patience, and even your sense of humor. Feed your mind a few pages of a good book. New ideas will slowly grow from that. Feed it calm music, or one short lesson. Real focus will grow instead. Feed it other people's arguments and constant noise. Worry will grow instead. Distraction will grow too, whether you wanted it or not. Now think honestly about what you usually feed your mind first. Think about what happens before anything else, every single morning. Is it something that genuinely helps you grow? Or is it something that simply fills you with borrowed noise? You do not need hours for this practice. Even 5 honest minutes of real reading can change the tone of your entire morning. Think about the people you most admire for their knowledge. Almost all of them share one quiet habit. They protect a small window of reading time, especially in the morning. They do not wait for a free afternoon that never truly arrives. They simply claim 10 minutes before the world wakes up, before it starts asking things of them. Think about the difference between eating a healthy breakfast and eating sugary food first thing. One gives you lasting steady energy. The other gives a quick rise, followed by a hard crash. Information works on your mind in exactly this same way. Some content gives you lasting clarity. Other content gives a quick spike of emotion, followed by a hard crash into distraction. This does not mean all social media is harmful. It simply means the order of your morning matters enormously. Feed your mind something valuable first. Then, if you choose, scroll freely afterward. The value will already be planted. Choose one single source of value for tomorrow morning. It could be one chapter. It could be one short lesson, like this one. It does not need to be complicated to work. This single shift is one of the most quietly powerful changes available to you. It costs nothing. It requires no special skill. It only requires a small, honest decision, repeated tomorrow morning. Remember this: what you feed your mind each morning becomes the seed of your entire day. Lesson 6. Plan your day before the day plans you. One of the biggest secrets of calm, successful people is this: they decide their own priorities first. They do this before the world can decide for them. Without a clear plan of your own, other people's requests take over. They quietly become your entire day, one interruption at a time. This does not mean your day must be rigid or perfectly scheduled. It simply means you decide the top priority first. No one else decides it for you. Imagine a farmer who wakes up well before sunrise. This is long before the rest of the village stirs. Before the sun even rises, he already knows something important. He knows exactly which field needs water most urgently today. He already knows which tools he will need. He already knows roughly how long each task will take. He already knows what real success will look like by sunset. His entire day has a clear shape. It has this shape before it has even properly begun. He still faces surprises throughout his day, just like anyone else. But those surprises do not control him, because his priorities are already firmly set. Now imagine a different farmer. This one wakes up and simply waits to see what happens. He walks out to his field without any plan at all. He responds to whatever problem appears first. He jumps from task to task without direction. By midday, he is undeniably busy. He is running from one thing to another, but he is not sure if he did the important work. By sunset, he feels genuinely tired, yet he feels strangely unsatisfied with how the day went. Both farmers worked equally hard. They worked under the very same sun. They worked for the very same number of hours. But only one of them worked with real direction. It shows clearly in the results. This single habit takes less time than most people spend checking their phone each morning. Yet very few people ever build it into their routine. Think about packing a suitcase before a long journey. If you pack carefully, with a clear list, everything you need is there. If you pack in a rush, without thinking, you often forget something important. Planning your day works exactly the same way. A few careful minutes prevent hours of scrambling later. Some days, your plan will need to change completely. Unexpected things will happen, no matter how well you prepare. This is not a failure of planning. This is simply real life. The point is not to predict everything perfectly. The point is to start the day with clear direction instead of none at all. Calm, successful people are not calm by accident. They are calm because they removed the guesswork from their mornings long ago. Try this tomorrow morning. Before you check anything else, write down one sentence. Name the single task that matters most today. Then begin your morning as usual. You will likely notice a small, quiet difference by the afternoon. Now think honestly about your own day. Think about the one waiting for you right after this video. Do you already know your top priority before you begin? Or do you wait, like the second farmer, to see what the day hands you? Remember this: a few quiet minutes of planning each morning save you hours of confusion later. Lesson 7, and the most important lesson of all. Every lesson so far has been about small, practical actions, but this final lesson reaches somewhere deeper. It is about who you honestly decide to become. It starts with the very next morning you wake up to. Everything you have heard in this video, until this exact moment, has been leading here. Every lesson, every story, every quiet reflection was preparing you for this single idea. Imagine two people standing at the exact same starting point. This happens on the exact same ordinary morning. Both wake up with roughly the same amount of time. Both carry similar responsibilities. Both carry similar quiet worries about the future. The first person believes something, deep down. They believe their morning simply happens to them, like weather they cannot control. They believe they are only a passenger inside their own life. They believe they are carried along wherever the day takes them. This belief feels safe. In a strange way, it removes responsibility. It also removes any real power to change anything at all. The second person believes something entirely different, and that difference changes everything that follows. They believe their morning is something they personally build. It happens choice by choice, minute by quiet minute. This single belief changes how they wake up. It changes how they move their body. It changes how they think. It changes how they speak to the people around them. Over time, this one small belief creates two completely different lives, and it starts from two very similar mornings. You are not someone who mornings simply happen to. This is true no matter how it has felt until today. You are someone who creates your own morning. You do this one honest choice at a time, starting tomorrow. You are not merely a passenger riding through your own life. You are not just watching it pass by the window. You are the architect standing at the center of it. You are holding the tools in your own hands. This truth does not depend on your current job. It does not depend on your city. It does not depend on any mistake from your past. Thousands of people have started from far more difficult places than you. They still built extraordinary lives. Their starting point was never the real deciding factor. What separated them was not talent, luck, or timing. What separated them was a quiet decision. It was made on an ordinary morning much like this one. They simply decided to stop waiting for the perfect moment. They started with the moment they actually had. It depends only on the small, quiet choices you make starting tomorrow. Start today. Start now. Start where you are, exactly as you are. The person you want to become is quietly waiting. They are waiting for your decision, right now, today. Every powerful, disciplined life you have ever admired began with one ordinary morning. It was no different from the one you will wake up to tomorrow. That person was not born calm and focused. They were not born disciplined from the very beginning. They built themselves patiently, one sunrise at a time. They did it through small choices. Those choices felt almost meaningless in the moment they were made. You already carry that exact same power inside you. You carry it right now, as you listen to these words. You do not need special permission from anyone to begin. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need a better job or a different city. You only need tomorrow's sunrise. You only need the quiet courage to meet it differently. Somewhere inside you, A version of yourself already exists. This version wakes with real purpose. This version moves through each day with quiet, steady confidence. That version of you is not far away. It never truly was. That version of you is only one decision away. Wake with purpose. Choose your morning. Build your day. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this video helped you, that means a lot. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to English Ascent. We post a new English lesson every single morning. Leave a comment below with one new word or sentence you learned today. I would love to read every single one. Keep learning, keep growing, keep ascending. I will see you in the next lesson on English Ascent.